conditions. Okay, so that is the main information. So in this whatever last class we just discussed about the public data or the private data, we have one more kind of, we will discuss in when we require that. Okay, so we have seen that whenever we declare by default, whenever we declare a data which is in the form of when you don't provide any information related to that, by default it will be a private data. So only the class object they can access this data, and the function also will be linked. But whenever you declare any information which is data which is publicly available, so it can have a more access to the outside world. We will see different access modifier for this. Okay, so this is the important one. More important, you require to know how the data will be whenever I create object for particular information. So each, these are the data variables. Okay, these are the variables. So each memory is allocated for the variable, but there will be only one copy of the your function information definition will be available. So each object, okay, say if I want to get a emp2 dot put info, then I'm not creating one more memory location for these functions, but there will be only one copy of that. So this is the another way of understanding a class for that. These two concepts are very important for the our oops. Okay, now let us go with the what we have done in the last class. Just to recap, so in a before to that we have seen lot of function, how to do the function overloading and how to create a class and all that. And after that we have touched upon a constructor. That means how it is called and what are the different type of constructor. Namely, it is a parameterized constructor or copy constructor or like that. And we have seen a kind of overloading. What do you mean by overloading? When a construct, multiple constructor I can have in a class, so I can differentiate each constructor by having a different parameters to that. So that is known as a your overloading. So now how you make a difference between a function and a constructor? In case of a constructor, it is the same name. The name of a constructor or a function, if I see, it is the same as the class. That is the main information or important point what you have to see that. Okay, and what do you mean by default argument? Default argument, like if I want to initialize, by default some values has to be assigned to that. So that also is possible by using a different way of assigning those while initializing. Constructor is basically used for initialization. So we also touch upon a destructor. So it is basically to you are releasing the memory. So when you have a complex programming, then you want to release the memory whichever is not required. So this is will facilitated by the destructor. Now how the naming is going to be different from the constructor? The destructor also will have the same name as the class, but it is started with a tilde. That is a your wave kind of in symbol there. So that is how it makes the compiler, by seeing that symbol, it will say this is a destructor and it will be called whenever a scope is out of that. So we have seen a simple programming in using a dynamic operation. Basically, you are using a new and all that keyword to allocate the memory for that. Basically, we are using array or a kind of pointer to allocate the your objects. So we just touch upon the copy constructor. It is same as a constructor here only, but in the case of copy constructor, I am sending a reference of the same object, same class. Okay, so it is nothing but a copy of the whatever we created object. So object reference, okay, memory number is being passed to this. So we just seen this pointer. This is again the pointer. Okay, it is a you are trying to access itself. Okay, that's why the name is given. It's a keyword. So this is the already the keyword for in your C++. And again we have seen a friend function. Okay, friend function we see more. Okay, today we'll see the more examples on those all these concepts. Okay. So these are some of the things what we have done in a last class. Okay, so today we will see more programming on this, and there are a lot of confusion which you will encounter in declaring and getting a error. So we will see all those with the exam. So constructor, as you know, it should be, remember, it should be declared in a public section because it has to be called. Whenever you are creating an object, it has been called there. So whenever, each time, whenever object is created, it will call the your constructor. In some program, we don't write a constructor, okay? By default, we don't write. But then what happens to the compiler? Compiler will automatically generate a constructor, okay? And it doesn't have any parameters. So it will, whenever object is created, if the user has defined already the constructor, it will be invoked. If they have not defined, so this defaultly there will be a constructor will be called and all the memory allocation is done for that. But it is not initialized. The values of a data is not being initialized. So a constructor to which no arguments are passed is called as a default constructor. It can, if the user has already done this default constructor, then the compiler will try to call this particular constructor. If the user has not defined the class with the constructor, then it will try to create an object is created with that. That is the one information which you require to know. Is it clear? So the constructor is defined in a public section, and whenever object is created, constructor is going to be called. And if the user has defined in the class, then that will be called. Otherwise, a default constructor will be called, which doesn't have any arguments. Okay. So these are some more information on the constructors. So it is initialized. It is used for more often for the initialization, not for some operation as a, like a input or output operations. So in the case of your constructor, it may not be, it cannot be static, because why? Each object is associated. If you know the static is always the only one value. Okay. So in case of a constructor, I should have, each object should have its own memory allocation for that. So the constructor cannot be the static. Okay. So remember these concept. Now it constructor also used to locate the memory at the runtime using a new. We'll see more on the some examples. Okay. And cannot be virtual. I'm not taught more on a virtual. We'll see it in when it comes. So it is just now at present you remember it cannot be a virtual also. Okay, and you're seeing that I can, in a class I can have many constructor. Okay, so it is a constructor can be overloaded. Be careful, there is one more keyword or one more word like overriding. Okay, so this is overloaded. So this is known as the constructor can be overloaded. So I can have a multiple constructor with which is different for the signature. Signature means I can send a different parameters to that. That is how it identifies. Okay, constructor that can take an argument are known as a parameterized, and when there is no argument, we have already seen it is a default constructor. Okay, so those are some concepts which we have discussed in a previous class. Now let us just think on the brain programming. Last class I just discussed a bit of the brain programming. So let us see today what we can understand. So in the last class we have seen that we can program a brain. Now how we can do that? By the thought process. So if the thought is created, it is seen that it can activate particular points in the brain. So the thoughts are nothing but it can ignite particular cell, okay, brain cell. So it can activate that. So it has got a power to make a activation. So this activation will see. Now when I see a programming in any of your C plus or any kind of programming, you can see it is a lot of accessing and or manipulating of a memory is involved. Now to know that, we required also know to do a brain programming. We also should know how our human brain store the information, correct? So to know that, for the computer, you already know it, we store in the computer stores the information ones and zeros, which is a binary in nature. Now how about our human brain? Human brain are bit complex. So already we have the fine kind of sensory organs, and it can store, if you remember any thought process, if you collect any information, if you're storing in any information, if you're trying to recollect, you could recollect the audio related to that, or a visionary related to that, even the taste bud, okay, how it was tasted, any food that was tasted, or any touch information, any kind of your smell, also you can recollect. The brain, the human brain, we can recollect all these information. That means we are storing in a complex manner. Now if you observe the brain also, it is not in a brain, whatever place, whatever, it is not in at one place, okay, one thought is not related to one place, or kind of, it is the even each one information or the sensory information is stored in a different location. To coordinate, we require a good coordination system. So that is nothing but a thought is which, or it is an activation of this cell, brain cell, makes us bringing those thought process or getting these information at one place. Okay, it is like a, you are getting information and projecting on the your visionary system. Okay, so although it stores in such a complex dimension, why we are not able to do better in our performance? So most of the hindrance comes with our stress or a negative thoughts. So if you see this, the usually the negative thoughts come because of your the management of time, because you can see the during, only during at the end moment you're trying to prepare yourself, so it, the stress is built up. So because of that, the brain is not able to take those stress, and it will generate the thought process which is going to be the negative. It is not going to be the healthier for this. So it can be overcome by self planning, planning in ahead. So this also overcome by just giving some time for yourself. Okay, so this self is nothing but a thoughts. As I told, thoughts are nothing but a having a energy, so it can be positive or it can be negative. So when I say a thought, I can relate this to the charge of a mind. Okay, so if I see that, when I say a charge, okay, so I can have a full battery, I can represent a full battery, or a it is a deprived of a battery, there is a less charge in that. So that is going to affect your brain. If you are having a most of the positive thought process, you are more active, more happy kind of. When you have a depression or any kind of negative thoughts, which are going to be the representation of you are having a less charge in your mind. So it can be improvised, or it can be developed, or it can be having a, you can have a more energy by just giving us some time for your all these activities which can bring out the better thought process in your brain. So one is the your meditation, or you can go to the nature. Nature has lot of wide positive energy, and even you can get a positive thought process by even our animal, simple animal kingdom. What is that? You can think, already you know the story related to the spider, never give up. Okay, so if you see the dedication what the ant does for its work, okay, so if you can also give a full dedicated information, you can also succeed in any of the path what you have taken. So each lot of, there are so many books which you can think of. So always they are pointing to think like a winner. To know, get a success, again you require to think like a winner, because thinking is itself is a complex process. You've seen how we are storing the information, so we require to think in that form also. So you can also get a all these positive charge, a positive thought process by going through the different music or going through the books, because books gives you the readability where you can imagine how they have gone through their challenges, or how they overcome those challenges. They are also had a lot of difficulties, but the way they thought, how they have overcome is nothing but they thought differently for that situation. So I can just collect two information, that is by the Wings of Fire by Abdul Kalam, or one of the greatest, you can always inspirational, Helen Keller. You can read a lot of book on this. So get motivated yourself. The thoughts process is going to activate our own human brain. So it is also necessary. It is a positive attitude. Positive thoughts brings you the attitudes. So you can think of a glass which has got only the half water, but you can perceive or see it as a, is it a half empty or a half filled. So how you perceive the information also, because as I told, we are storing the information in the sensory or so many other dimensions. So how you perceive makes you different, feel differently. So you can always don't give up, always you see a star, okay, whenever it is dark. So there is a darkness, that doesn't mean that it is the end of that. Okay, so I think there is a always hope is there, and always nothing is permanent. Okay, so if you're having a difficulties, it is also going to go vanish one day. So just think, stay with the time, and try to bring a positive thought towards your whatever you're doing. And remember, in whatever field you want to go or achieve, or wherever you are, this 3Ds, okay, that is dedication, determination, and discipline. These are going to be the key points or key important points to for any of the field. It need not be the engineering, any field you go, it is going to be the same. Okay, so whoever achieved the successful, or whatever you think they are the successful, they are all had the dedication, they had a determination, and they also have a self discipline. Okay, so this, with this thought, I will start today's class. So today we'll start with some examples. um, Now let us see this. Okay, let me see how many you understood this problem. Do you find any error in this? Let me ask the question. You can unmute and let me know. Do you think I have created one class? So there is one integer or whatever I declared as a array, a as a variable, and I've declared one public and one variable here. Okay. So what will be the default value of a? It is by default, it is going to be the private. Okay, as you know that. Okay. Now in the main, I'm trying to create an object. And remember, whenever I create like this, the constructor, which we have discussed earlier, the constructor of this exp1 is going to invoke. Okay. And that will be default constructor. Now tell me, is there any error in this particular code? If so, how many errors are there? Can you unmute anyone? If you understood the C++, this is a very simple basic example. I hope all of you should able to identify the error, and you should tell me where it is.
Ma'am, int A is present in the private, is set as private in the
Okay.
class.
Okay. Okay. So where will be error for me now? Is it error in this code?
And public needs a colon after that. Public
Okay.
colon, then we can
Okay.
write int C.
Right, correct. One error you identified. What will be the another? Is there any other error in this?
Ma'am, dot h is missing.
Dot?
H is missing from the include file. Like dot, sorry, hash include
Okay,
file is
okay,
missing.
okay. That you don't worry about that. These parts are fine. Oh, I'm just asking your concept here. Is there
That
any error in this? Can you find any some error in this?
we won't be able to print a, and we haven't initialized any value as such. So C may return 0. It may return just some random value.
Okay, that I agree, because we are not initialized, so it will take us some random value. But is it okay? Can I access this way?
No,
We
ma'am,
can't.
because A is set as a will be automatically set as private.
Right.
So A won't be allowed to be won't be able to be printed,
Correct.
and public needs to be have that colon after that,
Cool.
and
Right. So,
the default constructor will be invoked anyway. So it'll either print the default values or it'll print garbage values already present in memory.
Correct. So first of all, it will not compile because there is one error, as you mentioned, there will be colon here, okay, missing colon in this. So second one is, though I have just declared here int, it will be automatically, it will be taken as a private. So I can't access this way, okay. So I can't access object dot A, but object dot C I can always take because it is declared in a public area. So this should be the, you should able to understand. So there will be two errors in this, because one is because of a colon, because it's a typing error, but this is a your the concept error, because I can't access the your any private information in the your like this object dot. Now how I can do this? If I wanted to do, if I want to access this, I can declare either int A itself is in this particular public area, or declare one member function where through which I can access this particular private information. I hope that will be clear for you. Is it fine? No doubt, I hope so. It's a simple one, but I just wanted to know, are you able to understand? Okay. So as you mentioned again, so there should be a colon here, and the moment you declare object one or whatever OB1, what it will be calling, it will be, though I have not created a constructor. Remember here, I have not declared any constructor, but by default, as you know, the compiler is going to create a default constructor, doesn't have any parameters, and it is going to initialize the it is going to put a this memory area for that. So it is going to call by itself a default constructor. We call this as a default constructor, and it is going to initialize this particular object with the these data area. This area is memory is allocated. I hope it is clear with. Okay. So now let us take some more examples. Now tell me, by seeing this program, is there any error in this? What will be your answer? Either A or B or C or D? Let me know. Again, what we have done, I created a class. Okay, I created one. What is this? This is same as a class name, so it is going to be the your constructor for you. So in the main, I'm just created object T1, and just so it will be just you should able to see this whether what will be the answer in this case. Is it A, B, C or a D? Yes.
Option C, ma'am. It'll print constructor called.
Okay. Any other answer? All of you agree with constructor is called? Is there any opinion where you think it is not be error or something like that?
Ma'am, option B, runtime error, because the constructor would just keep calling itself in an endless loop.
Okay. Any other? Will it compile? Any error in the compilation?
Ma'am, C is supposed to be capital in class.
Which C you mean to say?
Class LFC, C is supposed to be capital.
No. Class is your keyword, small only this.
Okay.
Okay. Now, if you have a doubt, let's see. Okay, I have a code. Is it visible? I'll just share my code. I'm using a code blocks. I'll just share that. Is it visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, if I try to build this, okay, build, is it, shall I increase the maximize? Let's see. Is the words are visible to you? Okay, now I'll compile. Okay, if you see this, I'm just building. Okay, I'm just building the things. So I'm not run that. Okay, but still it gives me the error. Why? It is a private within the context, because see this, remember, to create an object, I should have this LFC should by default, you may be knowing in by default, your constructor should be in a public, okay, a public domain. But what happens here when you don't define anything here, it will be associated with the private area. So you can't now, whenever from the main, I can't do like this because I can't call the constructor in a your private information there. So because of this, it will give me the error. Can you able to see this error? Error is saying that LFC a colon is a private within the context. So I can't access. So I can't, since I can't build this, I can't run also. Okay. So there will be error. I hope it is clear with this example. So be careful when you define any constructor. You should make sure it is going to be the public. Okay. Public keyword has to be assigned to this. Is it clear? Fine. So there will be the compile error for you. Okay. So it is the first thing, it will identify this particular constructor is not at all in a public domain. So it will give you the error for that. Are you able to see my slides now? Back to slides. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So there will be the error, compiler error. So as we seen that in that. Okay. Now let us take one more example here. Okay. So what is this example 3? Here I want to make a display the height of a person in feet and inches. Okay. So different format for specifying the height. Okay. There should be provision to define this. Okay. So it can, the user can enter just the one integer value or the fractional values. So when it is entered as a fractional values, which is in a feet, you should convert again feet and how many inches in that. Okay, there should be some conversion in that. And what is the another one? There should be specifying like 5 feet and 8 inches kind of. So you should there should be different mode of assigning the values. And what is the default value they want? They want the default value to be set to 0. Both of the values should be set to 0. So how you can design this particular program? It's very simple. I hope you can do that. Can you tell me how you can get this particular program executed? What the concept you're going to use? Yes. Are you using a functions? Are you using a constructor, or what are the any other way you're going with that? Can you anybody tell me that? Yes. If this was a program was given to you, how you're going to define this particular program, or how, what are the class you're going to define? In the class, how many variable you're going to keep? Yes. Can you tell me? You can unmute your mic.
I think so. We need two variables, one for feet and one for inches.
Okay.
And we need another program we can declare inside the class that that is public and that prints the height in any specific format that is given.
But I am to invoke, I have to set the values like this. This is the user defined values when they are inputting those information. How you are initializing the values like that. What concept you are going to use for this? Can we use just the functions? Can we use a constructor concept, or what is the better way of going with this? Yes, whatever you said is right. We will be having a height as a class and two variables, say feet and inches. That is fine. Two data variables are fine. Yes. Okay, tell me.
Ma'am, we can have a default constructor to set the values to 0.
Okay.
We need one function to input, and we can have a separate function to do the calculation, or we can put it as one function. And we
Yes.
receive the values and we do a math on it and then print it out as an output.
Okay, that is also one way of, or even you can do a your constructor overloading. Why? Because anyhow you're taking a data in different form. That's all, correct? So I can also use your what do you say, a simple programs like this. Okay. So what is the is it visible to you, the program which I've written? Okay. Is it visible? I'll just make it more. Okay. So you, as I told, you have a one. Sorry, here there should be small here. Okay. So there should be a class, which is height, we declared, and we declared two variable, feet and inches. I can declare int also, as you told also is correct. You can take the input, then convert in that. But at that time, you require one more variable. How you define your variable matters. Okay, so you can take it in any kind of. In this case, I have defined a one variable, which is a constructor basically, which takes the only the integer values. Okay, so it will take me the feet and the inches. Whenever it is declared as only they input as a input as 5 feet or whatever, then that integer value is assigned to the your feet variable, and inches will be declared as a 0 fraction values. Okay. Now, do you find any problem with this definition? I highlighted that. Do you think there any error in this particular definition?
Ma'am, H is capital, it should be small.
Yes, yes. So be careful in defining your whatever, whenever you defining the class and its constructor. Okay. So the moment you declare other than the class name, it is a case sensitive. Okay. So it will ask for the error will be thrown for this. So you should be making this as a small here. Okay. That is the reason I highlighted. Again, this will be the parameterized your constructor, because in this case I have taken int and this can be a double here. You can do it in many ways, as you some of you told. So this is the, I am trying to use a parameterize or constructor overloading concept. Okay. So in this case, this is nothing but a default parameter. There is no parameter associated. So both are going to be initialized to 0 here. Okay. Now in this case, it is given two values. So anyhow, it is going to assign for that. So what is this one here? If you see the main program, I am declared. The moment I just declare them, the object is just created. But in this case, it is going to call the constructors. Okay, default constructor. So both of them are initialized to 0, 0. So whenever I'm taking the information and again reassigning, see this object of H1 is there, same, and I'm trying to call by the different constructor. You can do it here also, you can do directly, you can also do the same thing, but only you have to take the variable there. Okay. So you can do it in many ways. Pay attention to the only the declaration of that. It should be same as the class name. That is what I wanted to put here. So you can either use a constructor overloading concept when you have a multiple way of input the information, because constructors are mainly used for initializing the data. Okay, so that is the concept which I wanted to highlight here. Okay, so with this we will take another example here. Okay, so there is a constructor. So there is a class called as a LFC, and there is some static int. So static means, if you remember, a static, there will be per class. It is not with the object. Per class there will be only one information. Okay, so the reference is only one. So you are always taking the same values there. Okay, so not with the associated with the object here. Okay, now I have a static and I have got a constructor here, and remember this is assigned in a public domain. The constructor is called whenever you are initializing whenever you're creating an object here. Okay, now you pay attention to this is nothing but a destructor here. Okay, so destructor is being called whenever it is going out of the scope. Okay, so here what we are trying to do, we are trying to call this whenever it is the constructor is called, we are incrementing this static count. That means whenever object is create, it will increment the count and it will print that. Okay. Now, what is done here? I'm initialized this LFC. Remember how I assigned this value of a count? See this. I'm not created object of LFC. Okay, because static data is already there. It will be per class. Okay, so with the class scope, I'm initializing that particular value. Okay, so when I've created, now I've created an object of LFC in array fashion. Okay, so I created an object of this. By default, what happens here? I'm creating LFC of 0, LFC of 1, LFC of 2. Three objects of LFC are created, and it is being assigned in an array form. So what happens here? It will be creating 3 objects here. Now the question is, when I come out of this return 0, okay, when I come out of this main program, let me know what are your answer. There are 4 answer I've kept here. Let me know which is your, already I put here. Okay, by mistake I put here the answer also. Fine. So this is the answer. Why? Can you give a justification why it is so? Yes, anybody? Yes, I say that answer is A, but you should able to justify why it is so. Can anybody tell me the answer? Sorry, justify the information. First of all, do you agree with this answer? Yes, students, I want your answer to know how much you understood the constructor and destructor. Yes. Let me check. Now I have to call your name. Okay. Let's see who all are there in your meeting. Yes, can you answer to that? Anybody? Arohi, can you answer? Arsh? Am I audible? Asta?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you answer that?
Ma'am, the object is a array, so it is called 3 times.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
But why you think the destructor, when it comes out of the return or return 0, why it is called in a reverse order? See, destructor of ID3, destructor of 2, destructor of 1 is being put here. I agree with your concept that the 3 elements are created. So 3 times the constructor 1, 2, 3 is going to be no.
Ma'am, it is stored in a stack.
Okay. But why it is in a reverse order, it is being printed here. 3 is being called, then 2 is being the destructor. When it comes to destructor part, 3 is being called, and then a 2 is called, then a 1 is called. Why that order?
Ma'am, because the last constructor called is destructed first, and then so on.
Yes. So you should be. Is all of you agree with this, or do you have any doubt in this? Okay, if you have a doubt, let me execute the program for that. Okay, so I'll show you. I have already written a program on that. Is it visible to you? Okay, same code. Okay, so if you run this, okay, I compiled already, so I can run this. You can see this is how the order is going to be done. Okay, so the initially it will be, because you are creating 3 objects, so the static count is going to be incremented, but when it is destructor is being called, because it is in the topmost, this third one, so it is going to go in a reverse order. Okay, so it is going to destruct in that. Okay, I hope it is clear. Now let us go for the one more. Now see this program. Now let me know what is your which answer is right in this. What is done here? There is a class B and there is a class C. Okay. So what you have done, this is nothing but a constructor for you, because it's the same as the class. Okay. So you have created one object in this. Okay. Class B, class C. Under the class C, you have declared the one more object of B. Okay. So what is done in this? This is a constructor for the C. Okay. Then you are trying to use a friend function in this. Okay. So friend, whatever you are trying to show here. Okay. So this show is nothing but a friend function. So it doesn't have a scope resolution, because it is not belong to the class C or a B or anything. It is a friend. So under this show, you are trying to use you're trying to print. You have done what is the construction here. So this will be called to your this particular information where you are creating an object of B. Okay, passing the whatever value 10 here. Okay, now tell me, then what you're trying to do, you're trying to see out the value of whatever stored in the this particular B. Okay, that is how this a program is. Now let me know what is your answer in this. Yes, what is answer? There are four your MCQ part kind of I've given. Let me know what is your thought process, whether it will be a 10 or is it just some value, random values, or is it error, or is it going to be the some fault as such? Yes, please answer. These are the some questions which you will be getting for any of the placements. So be thorough in the concept. Yes. Anyone? Please answer now. What do you think? Let there be, don't worry about the answer whether it is right or wrong, but I wanted to know how much you understood a concept. Yes, student, please answer. If you don't answer, then I have to call out the name. That's what I have to do. Abir, can you answer?
Ma'am, I'm not sure, but is it a segmentation fault?
Why you think so? Why it cannot be A? Why it can't be A?
Ma'am, because I don't understand one thing, is that you are declaring an object of class C inside void show, and then you are sending 10 as a parameter. But I don't understand what that 10 stands for, because that's where I'm getting it.
Nothing but I'm using here constructor for that, correct? C is nothing but a class for me. The moment I use this as a constructor, it is going to call me the constructor of C, right? Do you agree with this? It is going to call this particular information, correct?
Okay, ma'am.
Correct, na? Do you
Yes,
have
ma'am.
any, did you able to understand how the flow of execution of if I use this? Okay, so the moment I call this, it is going to see the its constructor, which is same as whatever I've sent here. So it is going to go to this particular place. Under this, it is going to construct this particular, it is going to invoke this particular information. So 10, if theoretically, if there is no error, 10 will be passed as I will be passed as for B here. So in the your int whatever public your constructor of B, you are assigning this I to nothing but a variable B. Yeah. Now tell me why. What is your you understood by this program? What is your conclusion? Will it be 10 or it will be printed as 10 or any garbage value, or is there any error, or what is this kind of?
I think the value would be 10.
Okay. Any other answer? Hello? Any other answer? Achintya, can you answer? Did you follow? What is that program is? Aditi? Are you there or you are just listening? I don't know. Anurag, can you answer this? Anurag Milling.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. What is your thought in this? What will be the your uh, answer?
Ma'am, I think it would throw an error.
Why?
Ma'am, because in show, the statement is, I mean, it's trying to print C dot B dot B, but the second B is a private member of class B, so you can't, so it
Okay.
can't access that.
Correct. Correct. That is what I wanted to mention here. Okay, so though B is your you created an object B here, this B, the second B is possible to get that, but you can't access the object of this B. Okay, this is nothing but here internally to this. Okay, so this is going to throw an error. And how you can solve this if I wanted to overcome this error? Can you give me a suggestion?
Ma'am, we said B in B, which is in class B as public.
Okay, so you can put this in the your declaration itself in because it's a default is private here. You can bring it to the B in a public mode, or you can keep still it in a private mode here, or you can have a one more function here. Say for example, display B or something, which you can access by the object B dot display or something like that. Correct? That is also one solution. So it shows two errors. One is that whichever you mentioned. One is because okay, I forgot to tell you one more error. Can you tell me? I didn't. I just put an arrow here. What may be the error in this? It shows two errors. One error is this. Okay, you can't access this private. Yes. So you have the constructor like this. Correct. Correct. So it will throw two errors. One, as I already mentioned, so this is a private data which we are trying to access. So it will provide me the error here. It will give the error. Another is because of this. Okay, though you have declared a constructor like this, which has to pass a values to this, but here you just use without that. So there is no default constructor. Okay, so that will be two errors will be thrown for this. One is for default, one is for the accessing the private. Now how you can overcome? Either you can create, you can make like this. Okay, you can make a default constructor and give whatever value you want, and again you can make a public whatever the what is that public display kind of a function where you can return this B. Okay, because though it is a this particular information is declared here, but the content of a memory is in a private mode, so you can use a public function member function to return those values. So this is how you can overcome. So you can instead, you can't access like this. Either you can call like this c dot b dot display when you declare like in a private mode. Okay, or you can bring, as another one is suggested, you can bring this itself in a public domain, then it is fine. Is it clear? Any doubt in this particular example? These are small thing. This is, but these are the errors which you are going to get when you code it. Okay, so pay attention how you declare and how the constructor is going to be called and how the error is going to be handled here. Yes, any doubt, students? You can ask me. Hope it is clear for you. Okay, so if it is clear, we'll go for the next one. I can show you the program, but I'm going to skip that. So now let us go for a friend function. Okay, so up to now we have seen a member function or a constructor kind of errors and how they have declared public or private. Now let us see what you mean by a friend function. Okay, already we have last class I've given one examples on a friend function, but these are the some important points which you require to know that. Okay, they are declared, remember they are declared outside a class, not within that. You can't make an inline function kind. Okay, so it is declared outside a class. Yes, any doubt? Okay, it is declared outside a class and it doesn't have a scope resolution. Okay, it doesn't have, because it doesn't belongs to any of the class. Remember that. So when it is be used, okay, which situation is more better for this? When I have a multiple class and one program or a function which has to access multiple objects or something like that. Okay, so in that case, writing a same function in the all of the class, I can make a one friend function and use all these objects or kind of, okay, where I can do addition, any manipulation of a values. Okay, so that is where you can think of a friend function can come into that. And remember, it can access private as well as a protected data. I'm not going to discuss more on a protected data, but you remember it can access all the your variables, private as well as the protected data. Okay, so with this, how you can visualize this friend function? Say for example, I have a class A and there is one variable num A, okay, and I have a class B and I have declared one more variable called as num B, okay. So this is nothing but a data type. So whenever object is created, I'll be having a one whatever the copy of num A and a num B kind of, okay. But I have to declare a function friend, the keyword friend, and whatever the return type and this. So what I'm trying to do, I can access these two information in this friend, okay. So again, the same declaration should be there in a class B also. Okay, so in that case, observe here, I don't have any scope. It doesn't belongs to this or a this. It is a friend of both of them. Okay, so I don't have any scope resolution here, class representation. Then it is a return type and you're writing here add and what is the object, whatever you're trying to declare or you're trying to put this. So it can add, it can access, because as we told, it can access the your private data as well as the protected data. So object of is created, object of this value can be accessed as well as this can be accessed, and I can do a manipulation of those data also. Is it clear? The friend, remember, friend has to be declared within your class, okay, as a friend followed by this keyword, okay. And if you are trying to access both the classes, you require to declare both in both the classes. You should declare this function as a friend. So in that case, this particular add function can access both the any number of classes, okay. So whichever is declared as a friend, it can access those objects and it can access the data area also. And remember, there is no scope resolution for this because it does not belongs to any one of these two classes. They are not, it is not a member function of these two, okay. It is associated but it is not a member, okay. So let us see the complete example on this. Okay, so what is done here? Same example I have taken. I'll just increase the size of this. Is it clear? Is it visible to you? Okay, so what is done? I'm creating a class here, and class A has a, as you say, it is what it does. Okay, so I have got some variable associated with that. So it is a private. By default, I can create this as a num. If I declare it here, it by default it will be private. Since after the public I'm declaring, I have to declare with this keyword private. Okay, but I have to access, I'm declaring a function called as add, okay, which can access two classes, class A and a class B. Now, when the compiler is just going through this, the class B is not seen, okay, the declaration is following afterwards. So this kind of mentioning just, okay, in the next one, we'll be declaring class B. So this kind of declaration is known as forward declaration. So the class A, whenever I'm trying to use another class, ahead of that declaration of that class, I'm trying to say, okay, I'm going to use, there will be a some kind of this class is going to be declared, okay. So this concept is known as forward declaration. If you don't do, it will give an error here, okay. So that is what you have to remember. Okay, so in a class B, what we are doing, again, there is a variable num B and it is being assigned to particular values. Okay, so in both the places, we made this friend. Okay, so we are using this friend function. Now remember, okay, we don't have this add function which is going to access both of these objects, and there is no scope resolution for this. So as I mentioned earlier in a slide, so it can access any of the data and it can manipulate and returning as an integer type because here it is declared as an integer. That's all. Now how I'm going to call in a main function? See this. Class A object is created, class B object is created. So it is going to call the your constructor there. Now C out, this is a sum of that. Remember, now I have not created any object related to this. Okay. Usually whenever we call the member function of any object, then we will be using object A dot. Okay, dot is going to be the, it is going to give a scope of that, which one you're going to call. Okay, but remember, when the friend has to be, friend function is going to be called, we don't assign any object here. Okay, because it is out of that. So it is usually the normal function, any function you call like that, it will be, and you're passing an object to this, the class object to this. Is it clear? This is where you will be getting some confusions. So in a friend function, it will be declared outside the class, and there is no scope resolution for this because it is belongs to those class associated with that, but it is not a member of that class. Okay, and it is not called by the object, the dot. Okay, that kind of dot operator is not being used here. Is it clear? This is very important concept. Any doubt in this concept or this example? Hope it is clear. Is it clear? Can we go ahead with the next one? Is it fine? Okay. So now that is what the friend function. Okay. Now what is this friend class then? How they are different? Friend function we already seen. Okay. But what is this friend class then? Okay, so class is declared as a friend. Obviously we are just saying it is a class. Okay, so instead of function, now I'm declaring a class as a friend. Okay, so the moment I declare them as a friend class, what happens? All the member function, remember this. Okay, in friend function, only the member of that class will be accessible, but when you make a friend class, all the member functions of a friend class become, they will be the functions which are can be accessible to it. So they become a friend functions. Remember that. Okay, now let us try to see it in the kind of object oriented concept. So what is this done? I have a class A and I've declared this as a one variable num A. Okay, so I'm trying to declare a class B, which I'm saying it is a friend of this class A. Okay, remember I have a class A and I have data variable, some value, any name you can give. Okay, I'm trying to now declare a class B and I'm saying that it is a friend of this. Okay, so this friend B, okay, this whatever class B again have one variable as in the previous case. Okay, I think this has to be small n there, by mistake it is put here. Okay, now remember previously I have declared this add outside these two classes, correct? But when I declare now as a friend here, I can access within this particular, because this add is now member function of class B. Okay, I can create object, no doubt. I can also access the variable, all the data members, because they're all going to be the accessible by the class B. Okay, anyhow this particular is belongs to class B, anyhow I can access. So I can access any data values from the class because I've declared this particular is a friend of this class A. So if you just visualize whatever is declared, whenever I declare like this friend class, this class B has some more authentication, or it can access all the data which is there within the class A. Now tell me, can I access similarly from the class A, can I access this num B? Yes, anybody? Because I declared this is a class A is a friend of class B. I've done that. Now tell me, in this case I've showed you I can access the object of class A. Okay, now is it possible from I can create one function here and I can access class B information? Okay, sorry, is it possible? Yes, anybody? Students, can you answer? Hello? Yes, anyone? What is the question is, I have declared two classes, and one class I made it as a friend of this class A. And so when I say that class B can access everything in this. So once I made one of the class as a friend, can the class A access the class B information same as this? Answer is no. Okay. Why? Because though we declared this as a friend only in this, so they are not a mutual. Okay. The friendship is not mutual. Why? Because if a class B is a friend of class A, then class A does not become friend of class B automatically. You require to declare here. The moment you declare in a class B also, then they can be having a mutual whatever they can access the information. If you don't define anything like a class which is a friend class of this, then they can't access the information. So don't be under the impression I can declare in one and I can access in another, then that is not true. Okay, so remember this information. Okay, so when I can go for a friend class, okay. So friend class is again, it's a data hiding, okay. Data, I'm trying to hide the information. Only I'm trying to use whatever is required. Whenever it is, as you've seen in a class B cannot can access all the information of a class A, but it is not true with the class another class, okay. So if I'm not done any friend in that kind, so it can't use the data. So I'm trying to hide that. That is nothing but a data encapsulation. So most of the things it is used whenever you have a data structure stay protected. Okay, so you define certain data structure in class A or a class B. You want to keep them intact. I don't want any anonymous come and change those data structure. Okay, so that is the reason we are giving some privilege to depending on a what keyword we are used in what place. Okay, so only the certain classes can access them and certain cannot. It is not a mutual. Okay, so both of them cannot do the same way. Okay, to see that we'll go with a one example here. Okay, so this is one example. What is done here? You can see this. There is a class A, same thing I have taken. Okay, class B is forward declaration I have done because I have to use the variable there. Okay, so what is done? I have declared a class A with some variable num A. Okay, and I have declared class B as a friend of this class A. Okay, so the constructor is going to initialize. I'm going to initialize this particular value. Okay. Now what has happened in a class B now? Class B is one variable is kept and I'm going to initialize that using a constructor. But remember previously in a friend function, this particular function was outside the both the classes. Okay. Now I'm put it inside this and I created object of this and I'm using this information. But remember how I called the function, how I called this add. If you remember a friend function, I have not used any object dot. Pay attention. In case of friend function, I just called add and I passed the object A and object B. Now I am creating an object of B. Okay. Through that object, I am calling this add. Why? Because this is nothing but a member function of class B. In the class B, I am creating an object of class A because I have got a privilege to that and I can access the data of a class A. That is how I am trying to use. Remember, when I use a friend function, we don't use this object reference. But in case of class or friend class, I'll be using a object reference to that. Is it clear? This is an important difference between a friend class and a friend function. Hope it is clear with this example. If any doubt, you can always ask me. Okay. So with that, we'll be going with the pointer. This is very important for us because we'll see when we have a memory initialization, we have to know the pointer concept. So whenever you declare a variable, okay, so it is a variable is nothing but a name given to this particular address. Say I have taken an example of address, whatever you have given. Okay, so in this case, if I declare a variable with the 10, that particular variable is stored with the 10 value. That is what it means. But if I just pass the ampersand, this particular information, what I'm sending to this, I'm sending a address of this 2008, whatever I have given, this will be passed to this particular pointer. Okay, so now this is storing the address of 2008 and I'm trying to reallocate this particular information. How? This 2008 I'm overloading with the 20. So the moment it will execute this, I'm instead of 10, now it is being overwritten with the value whatever you have given here, because this pointer is now pointing to this particular address. So it will be written with the value 20. Okay, and now observe here, I have given an ampersand of this pointer. Pointer itself is a one more value, but it is not this, it is a address of this pointer is being passed. That's the reason we have to use a 2 stars to this. Okay, so it is taking a pointer address of address. Okay, so I can still access that and I can rewrite by the value like this, double star PTR, which is nothing but 30. The moment I do this, I'm trying to all are locating to the same value. Okay, same place. This is just putting the value I'm accessing by the name of that. This is by the address, and here address of address is a pointer basically. So that is how you can access this, the pointer. Okay, very important. It goes with the memory pointing or allocating the or directing towards the memory. So it is very potential. You should know how to use this pointer. Okay. Now let us see why I brought that pointer is nothing but this. This is a keyword in your C++, and as you know, this is related to the refers to the current instance of a class. Okay. So basically it is used for three usages. One is to pass the current object. You are operating with particular information object and I want to pass this object as a parameter to another method. Okay, so you can use this as a keyword for that, or you can use a refer a current class instance variable data. Okay, so either I can use it to pass the current instance, okay, to the another function, or in the function I want to refer this particular instance of the object, okay, or data. Then I can use this as a keyword this, or it can be used to declare indexes. Okay, we'll see that more in the next examples. So this pointer is nothing but an implicit parameter to all member functions. So the moment it is the member function is created, it can always use this keyword. It is there, implicit. Okay. Therefore, inside a member function, we can always refer this particular keyword and invoke. It is you're trying to access that particular object. Actually. Why? Because you're calling by the object dot member function you're doing. So you can always access that. If this means it is pointing to the object through which it is being invoked. Okay. Now friend function do not have, remember this particular. Why? Because if you remember, friend function is not associated with any of the object there. Okay, I don't call, if you remember the previous example, I call the friend function as a normal function. I just call add, then object A, object B, like that. I don't call with the object A dot or something. Dot is not there in this. So you can't use it this because it is not having an instance of that object. Okay, remember this particular information. So only member function have a privilege to use this pointer. Okay, so just to see the example on this, we'll see the example. Is it visible? Okay, I will increase this. Okay, so what is done here? There is a class. Okay, this particular class has 3 parameter. Okay, so there is a L and a B and a height. Okay, height, width, and all those are there for this. So I'm declaring that constructor is being called and it is being initialized here. So there is a one member function. See this, it's a member function where you're multiplying and nothing but you're giving a volume of that. Okay, and you're trying to use one more member function. Okay, where parameter to this is nothing but an object. Okay, so this box is nothing but an object. Okay, object class I'm sending by this. So what are you trying to compare? I want to compare the instance, this particular instance of the volume with the one which I sent already with the object. So this is now referring with what it is being invoked. Okay, the object reference to that. Both are calling the volume only here. In this case, the object which is being passed, and this is in the this particular example, this is through which it is being called. Okay, so that is a difference here. Okay, so how it has been called here, we'll just see. Okay, there is two instances, there is two objects are being created by giving the values to this. So the box one will have these values as their variables. Okay, so another one will have the whatever we defined here. So how I'm calling this particular function here, box one, any object dot compare. But what I'm passing to this is a box two. Now when I call like this box one dot compare or whatever, the this here, whatever this particular whatever you're seeing here as a pointer is going to point to the object box one. Okay, so you're comparing the object box one volume with the whatever you have passed is nothing but a box 2 volume. Okay, so this is how this pointer can be used in many of the your functions. Okay, so the function you need not create here. You observe I'm not created an object of a box because it is I'm referring implicit, that's what it's important here. But the same thing I can't do it the friend function because there is no reference for this here. Okay, and I'm again one more important point, this is being the pointer here. I can't use this dot volume, dot cannot be used. I have to use a this arrow here. Okay, remember these 2 points. Okay, so in a function I can always use a this here, and this cannot be used with a dot. Okay, it has to be used with the arrow here. Okay, because this itself is a pointer. Okay, pointer it is, that's the reason we can't use the dot there. Okay, hope it is clear. Any doubt you can always ask. Okay, now let us take some simple test. Okay, so by this any doubt do you have, you can ask me, otherwise we'll take a simple test. Okay, it is just the object MCQs are there. So I'll be posting that MCQ in both the your class team. Okay, if you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, we'll take that test. I'll be posting that link in both the your teams. Let us answer that. Okay, because that is going to solve most of your doubts. Okay, I hope it is. I'm able to clear some of the doubts you have in a constructor as well as the destructor and this pointers. Okay, so I'll be pasting this in your just check, are you able to answer? Check the post, MS Team post. Are you able to get that form? Let me know. Confirm.
Yes,
Please
ma'am.
confirm from E and F section.
Yes, ma'am.
How about E section? Both of you are able to get? Okay. So let me know your answers. Okay, just submit. Let me, if you have, I'll come to know how many you are able to answer or no. Okay. Any problem in getting the response? Just is no, right? You are able to see the form, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay, complete that. Let me know your answers. So if most of them you are able to get the concept, it is fine. Otherwise, I'll discuss on those questions.
Ma'am, I am unable to edit the. I mean, it's not accepting my responses. It's saying that
What it is saying?
that I'm not allowed to respond to this form.
Okay, error is there about.
Or
Let me check what
I'm
is that.
saying that I don't have a permission to view or respond to this form.
Now you just check.
One second.
Is all of you are having the same issues?
Ma'am, it's working now. It's working.
Okay, okay. Let me know. Okay. Any other problem? Is it fine? Okay. Any issues in a submission? Let me know. Okay. How about others? I didn't see many response. Is any problem is there in submitting? Let me know. Okay. Hello. Any problem? Yes. Is it difficult? Only 10 questions are there. Any doubts? We'll be clearing all the doubts. Okay. But submit. I could get 31 responses. Please submit. Okay. Good. We got around 40 responses now. Okay. The members, it shows 120, but the response shows is only 60. That means half of them are not there. Is it so?
Some are still solving.
Okay. No problem. I'll give you 2 more minutes. No issues. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
How was the class? Today's class? Am I fast? How was the class? What is your feedback for this? Yes, anybody? Can you give feedback? How it was, or what else you would like to know, or how it was for class, today's class? Yeah.
Ma'am, there is no problem in the class. It's everything is understandable.
Okay. Okay, around 75 response I got now. I'll just discuss that answers, okay? So that don't worry about the whether you are right or wrong. But I just wanted to convey that whatever the concepts are there, they are clear for you, okay? So if you see the first question, okay, destructor has the same name as the constructor and this is preceded by what is the symbol. Okay, most of them you got the answer, only one or two they got a miss. There is nothing but tilde. Okay, if you don't know how it is, if you see the keyboard, it is the first symbol. Okay, that whatever you can see tilde, there is a variation. I think most of them they answered this. Okay, so that is the answer for that. Okay, now what is the next one? It is a like constructor. Can there be more than one destructor? Yes. How most of them out of now 84 responses I could get, it is a 80%. 80% have given no. Yes, that is true. Okay, you can't have multiple destructors. Okay, because destructor is called only to initialize, you are deactivating that or releasing that memory. It cannot be overloaded. Okay, as in case of constructor, you can have a parameterized constructors, but that is not true with your destructors. Okay, so remember, there is no multiple destructor in a class. Per class, one destructor only. Okay, remember this point. Okay, some of them they have a confusion there. Okay, so don't be confused. There is, the answer should be no. Okay. Okay. Now, what is the third question was, state whether the following statement about the constructors are true or false. Okay. So what is this? The first, whatever the point is, constructor should be declared in private section. Second, the constructors are invoked automatically when objects are created. Okay. So I have given the example also in this case. Constructor should be declared in the public section. So we have seen an example, whenever the moment we declare them or without any declaration, the moment you write any constructor, then default it is assumed as a private. Okay. So always you should associate it with the keyword public for that. Okay. And constructors are invoked automatically. Yes, it is true. Okay. Whenever object is created, constructors are invoked. Okay. So the answer should be one was false in that, one was true in that. Okay. So the first was given as a private section, that is not true. So it is a false, and second one was a true. So the C was the right answer for that. Now, what is a friend function in C++? They have asked. Okay, so a function, most of them you answered correctly, but some confusions are there. So, what is that confusion? Let me clear. So, function which is C. What is this friend function? Friend function is nothing but a function which can be uh, it can access all the members, okay, private as well as a protected. We have discussed this, okay. So it can access those variables. So that is the first answer. A is the right answer for this, okay. Now the fifth one, how many member functions are there? Okay, out of some confusions you had here. Okay, many of them they had a confusion. Though it is written as void print. Shall I show you that a screen? I'll share that screen. Okay, so that will be easier for you to see that. I will show the screen. Okay, let me share that. Is it visible? My screen, this one, whatever answer, the form, whichever, is it visible to you?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So I was there at the fifth one now here. Okay. So this fifth one, though I have declared 4 functions here: void print, friend, void show, boolean compare, friend boolean. Okay. But remember, friend is not a member function of this class. Okay. Though it is declared, the function is there, but they are not associated with the class. That's why we are not invoking with the object dot. Remember that. So though there are 4 function, you can see it here. The question is how many are used in this, or how many member functions are there in this, including, okay, just the, so it is nothing but it is only 2 of them are there, okay, because only the void print and boolean compare are member function. These two friends are not the member functions of that, okay. So if you have a confusion, just remove that, okay. Now, what is the sixth one? Sixth one is saying that pick the correct statement. Friend functions are in the, I couldn't see that, okay, in the scope of, what is this? Okay, scope of this one, or a friend function can be called using a class object, or friend function can be invoked in a normal way, or friend function only protected member or something. But if we have seen an example add or something, when I create a friend function, it should be outside the class and it is a normal function the way you are calling, just add, not with the object reference, okay. So that is the right answer for you. Okay, now which of the following is the original creator of C++? Okay, most of them you have answered. Okay, that is nothing but a right answer here. So you should be knowing the who has created the C++ also. Okay, that's good. Okay, now can member function of one class be friend function of another class? Yes, it can be, correct, because we have shown that. Okay, member functions, that means say class A is a friend of another one. The moment I do that, all your member function of a class A is going to the friend function of another, okay. So that is how the answer should be yes for this, okay. Okay, assume there is a class, okay, test, which is the following state response for invoke copy constructor. Copy constructor is basically you are passing a same object, okay. So both these two are true for us. So the you had some confusion here. This is also copy constructor because you are passing the same object of a class T2 or whatever, and this is also copy constructor, okay. So these two are the right answer. That's why you should have the answer as this kind of both of them. Okay. So I think you had some confusion. Most of them you had a different answer here. So just think of both. In both the cases, I'm calling the copy constructors. Yeah. I think that was a bit confusing for you. Next is referencing a value through a pointer is called, okay. So it is indirect. I'm not calling the indirect calling. As you've seen, I'm passing a reference, the memory of that. So it is a indirect. Okay. So it is not pointer referencing. It is not a queue. It is not a terminology used for that. So this is not all of the above also. Okay. So whoever got some confusion here, so it is nothing but indirect calling of that, indirect pointing to that particular memory. Okay. I hope it is clear. Most of them are in this area. These two questions are having some confusions. Otherwise, most of the plays I got the good response. I think you are clear with those concepts. Okay, here and there you have some confusion. Just overcome that. Okay, these are some questions which you can see it in your placements also. Okay, so be perfect in the fundamentals of this C++. Okay, hope that is clear. And in coming classes, we'll see more on this. Okay, is it fine? Okay, so I will conclude. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Otherwise, we'll conclude today's class. Fine? Okay, I don't see any doubts. So then we can conclude this class. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you all.